Good morning. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. It's Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
A presidential pardon from Joe Biden to his son Hunter. I'm Jeff McKay with the details.
Trump loyalist Kash Patel will be nominated for FBI director.
This entire agency needs to be cleaned out.
I'm Jackie Quinn.
Blanketing snow across the Great Lakes regions.
Make sure you're being vigilant if you're heading out of the house.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Canada's leader has a warning about proposed tariffs. I'm Shelley Adler.
Welcome to Cyber Monday, as Americans get serious about their holiday shopping and find themselves with significantly less time to do it. I'm Peter Schacknow.
In between Black Friday and Cyber Monday is Small Business Saturday, when shoppers are encouraged to support those mom and pop shops. Julie Walker, New York.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Saying he was unfairly prosecuted, President Biden issues a full pardon for his son, Hunter. America in the Morning's Jeff McKay reports the pardon comes after numerous occasions the president claimed he would not issue one.
After saying on more than one occasion that a pardon was out of the question, President Biden on Sunday night reversed course and officially pardoned his son Hunter, who was facing sentencing this month on gun crime and tax convictions. In a statement, the president said, quote, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter," and added it was a full and unconditional pardon, claiming his son was, quote, "severely and unfairly prosecuted from people who committed similar crimes." The pardon covers any potential federal crimes that Hunter Biden committed from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, which does include his entire tenure on the board of the Ukrainian gas company Burisma. Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to 9 federal tax charges in Los Angeles in September for falsifying records and failing to file returns dating to a period when he was addicted to cocaine and alcohol and could have faced up to 25 years in prison. The pardon means that the grant of clemency cannot be rescinded by President-elect Donald Trump, who responded to the Hunter Biden pardon, posting on Truth Social, questioning if the pardon of the president's son also includes pardons for those he calls the J6 hostages, people found guilty of participating in the January 6th, 2021 riot at the Capitol. I'm Jeff McKay in Washington.
Washington is buzzing over the selection of Donald Trump's pick to become director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports some on Capitol Hill believe he is the right choice to shake things up at the FBI, while others consider him unqualified.
The announcement that Trump loyalist Kash Patel will be nominated for FBI director sets the stage for a new round of turbulence at the Law Enforcement Bureau.
I'm not going to speak about the president-elect's nominees. The only thing that I can point out, Kristen, is that we, the Biden administration, adhered to the longstanding norm that FBI directors serve out their full terms, because the FBI director is a unique player in the American government system. They're appointed for 10-year terms, not terms just for the duration of a given president.
Kash Patel, a former official in then-President Donald Trump's National Security Council, has plans to shake up the FBI, reducing its footprint in Washington and forcing out so-called conspirators against Donald Trump. Republican Senator Bill Hagerty on NBC's Meet the Press.
This entire agency needs to be cleaned out. It's not doing its job. And if you look at what happened, the politicization that took place back in 2016, when senior leaders of the FBI collaborated and conspired to try to keep President Trump out of office.
Says Patel is the right choice.
I think Kash does have relevant experience, particularly when it comes to the mandate the American public has assigned of turning these agencies around that have become completely corrupted. Kash has pointed it out. He's probably the best at uncovering what's happened at the FBI, and I look forward to seeing him taking it apart.
President Biden's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says there's no reason to push out the current FBI director, Christopher Wray.
The current FBI director, Chris Wray, was actually appointed by Donald Trump. Joe Biden didn't fire him. He relied upon him to execute his responsibilities as the director of the FBI and allowed him to serve out the fullness of his term over the course of the Biden administration. So that's how we approach things, and we would like to ensure that the FBI remains an independent institution insulated from politics.
Patel is likely to face deep skepticism during Senate confirmation hearings. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Today's top stories are brought to you by Sleep Number. And now, during our Black Friday sale, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add a base. End Cyber Monday. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. Unannounced visit by Canada's Prime Minister. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning, a check on the nation's weather this Monday. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy with the outlook.
A broad area of low pressure is centered over eastern Canada. It has been plunging Arctic air from the reaches of northern Canada southward through the northern Plains states into the Central Plains and the Great Lakes, and continuing as far east as New England and the Middle Atlantic. It will even be chilly in portions of northern Alabama into Georgia and continuing into the Carolinas. This cold air has been moving over the warm, moisture-laden Great Lakes, producing lake-effect snow from Michigan and Indiana into Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, with some of it even extending into West Virginia, as well as portions of Vermont into New Hampshire. Snowfall near the lakes today and tonight will be very heavy, with another 1 to as much as 2 feet. These snow bands can also produce snowfall amounts at rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour and cause whiteout conditions. Additional snow will continue into the day Tuesday and even Tuesday night. Also within this pattern, there is a weak area of low pressure diving southeastward from the northern plains and continuing into the mid-Mississippi Valley. This will produce another fresh coating to 1 inch of snow in an area that already received several inches this past weekend. Temperatures this afternoon will only top out in the single digits in parts of North Dakota to the lower 40s into Kansas, with 20s, 30s, and 40s through the Great Lakes, New England, Middle Atlantic, as well as the Tennessee Valley. The rest of the Gulf Coast will be a little bit milder with more sunshine and highs in the 60s and 70s. That's the weather across America. It's going to be a cold day in Bristol, Tennessee, with increasing clouds and a little snow in the afternoon and a high of 38. El Paso, Texas is going to be milder with clouds and sun and a high of 68. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Lake effect snow, a winter storm in the Great Lakes region, blanketed the area from Ohio into New York in a small amount of time. Correspondent Clayton Neville has reaction, as some are measuring the snowfall in inches. Others, just a few miles away, are buried under several feet of snow.
The National Weather Service reports nearly 4 feet of snow fell on parts of western New York over the weekend. Saybrook, Ohio saw 49 inches of snow. Through Monday, an additional 1 to 2 feet of snow could fall in parts of Pennsylvania, in northern Ohio, and western New York. The heavy lake effect snow blanketing the region in a winter wonderland and leading to a day of snow plowing and shoveling at the home stadium of the Buffalo Bills to get ready for the team's Sunday night game against San Francisco. Local leaders with warnings for residents.
Make sure you're being vigilant if you're heading out of the house and going anywhere. Make sure you're checking what the weather forecast might be.
Acting Buffalo Mayor Chris Scanlon.
You have people coming from all over the region heading out to the game. So again, if you're heading out to the game, I would make sure you give yourself plenty of time to do it.
This Buffalo native told WIVB-TV in Buffalo,
it's been wild to go from no snow to, 2 feet in one weekend, especially with the, record warm temperatures and stuff that we've had. It's been a lot to go from that to kind of switch gears.
It may not be the most snow that's ever fallen in the city,
but obviously with the timing, and people in from out of town for the Bills game, it provides, different challenges, I'd say.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy said playing in those conditions, a challenge for sure.
It's trying to deal with the Bills Mafia, the weather, and Josh Allen and that dynamic Buffalo team.
The commentator shared his own experience in Buffalo on the NBC Sports broadcast.
And we found out it was completely different. They had 80,000 screaming fans there. It was cold.
The cold air taking hold with December upon us. Nationwide, below freezing temperatures are expected in nearly 75% of the country in coming days. I'm Clayton Neville.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau flew to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend, a trip that comes after the president-elect announced he would enact tariffs against Canada. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports while Trudeau said his nation would strengthen border security, he added the proposed tariffs would hurt the American consumer.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that if President-elect Donald Trump follows through on his threat to impose sweeping tariffs on Canadian products, he would be raising prices for Americans and hurting American business. Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on products from Canada and Mexico if the countries don't stop what he called the flow of drugs and migrants across the borders. Talking to reporters, Trudeau said, quote, "Our responsibility is to point out that he would not just be harming Canadians who work so well with the U.S., but he would actually be raising prices for American citizens as well and hurting American industry and business." I'm Shelley Adler.
When we return on America in the Morning, record-breaking crowds for travel demands and Cyber Monday preview after these messages. Back with you. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. The holiday shopping season is underway. Here's CNBC's Peter Schacknow.
Black Friday marked the unofficial start to the holiday shopping season, and today is Cyber Monday, which sees an acceleration in online sales. That is exactly what's expected today, with Adobe Analytics predicting a jump of more than 6% in Cyber Monday sales from last year, to a total of $13.2 billion. All in all, former Walmart U.S. CEO Bill Simon is optimistic.
I'm expecting a very good selling season. I think the consumers breathing a sigh of relief that the election's over and all the noise from the election is kind of quieting down, whichever side you ended up on. I think there's just a general kind of consumer relief. So I think it's going to be an aggressively promoted holiday selling season, and the consumer is going to benefit from that.
The National Retail Federation predicts 4 in 10 Americans will shop online today. The holiday season will be a faster one, with 5 fewer days between Black Friday and Christmas than last year. Individual retailers will be in focus as well this week as they take their turns reporting quarterly earnings. Chewy, Dollar Tree, Foot Locker, Dollar General, and Lululemon among those set to issue their results. The economy and interest rates will also grab the spotlight this week, with investors looking ahead to Friday's November jobs report, along with several other labor market indicators. The Fed's interest rate cuts this year are among the factors that have helped drive the stock market higher, but Gennady Goldberg, head of U.S. rate strategy at TD Securities, says the new year may look a bit different.
We do expect one more cut in December, but I think by the time you get into January, they're going to want to pause. And I think between the kind of the desire to pause because of the macro data and potentially the desire to pause around the tariffs as well to see their impact, we expect basically a pause in the first half of next year, and then a resumption of cuts in the second half.
The Fed's next meeting takes place December 16th and 17th. Wall Street is coming off a shortened Friday trading session, which saw both the Dow and S&P 500 close at record highs. Well, it is indeed a busy time for the nation's airlines. More than 13.1 million passengers were screened at U.S. airports in the days leading up to Thanksgiving. That's according to the TSA, and that's about 5% higher than we saw last year. And according to Clint Henderson, managing editor for the travel website The Points Guy, it's not just the holiday season that's sparking the increase in travel.
We've sort of settled at an elevated level of travel demand. I think a lot of people decided during the pandemic that they were going to travel come heck or high water. And that's what they're doing. And then we also see the return of business travel. So combine those two things and you're seeing record-breaking crowds. Very interesting, elevated level of travel demand overall.
Henderson also points out that people are showing an increasing willingness to pay for premium economy and first-class seats, something that's proving to be a big help for the bottom lines of the major airline carriers.
CNBC's Peter Schacknow. With the Thanksgiving holiday behind us, small business in the spotlight. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues Black Friday shoppers spent a record $10.8 billion online. Today's Cyber Monday, considered the biggest online shopping day of the year. And over the weekend, as Julie Walker reports, small business was in the spotlight.
Fanny Karaman, who owns Rue de Paris, a bespoke lingerie shop in Brooklyn, New York, says it's been busy.
People are all about experiences, connecting with the actual makers and buying local and small. And so Small Business Saturday just drives them organically there.
And hopes people still have money to spend after all the Black Friday deals.
Those big sales are kind of hurting us. Not kind of, they're hurting us. It's very difficult to compete. There's no competition, really. It's them and us.
Small Business Saturday was created in 2010 by American Express, which says it has generated more than $200 billion in local sales. Julie Walker, New York.
In Belgium, you'll now see the union label on people whose livelihood is prostitution. The European nation 2 years ago decriminalized sex work, and now a new law says that sex workers will have access to health insurance, paid leave, maternity benefits, unemployment, and even pensions. The Belgian government also laid down rules that establishes working hours, pay, safety measures, and allows for the sex workers to refuse a client. The new government rules also apply to employers who now have to apply to the government to hire sex workers, and they also must provide a number of items, including clean linens, condoms, hygiene products, and emergency buttons in case the worker needs help. America in the Morning for Monday, December 2nd, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, a presidential pardon for Hunter Biden.
Donald Trump names his choice for the next FBI director. I'm John Stolness in Washington.
Leaders in California responding to potential plans for mass deportation. I'm Clayton Neville.
DACA recipients face uncertainty as Donald Trump prepares to return to the White House.
We're going to step up and we're going to see the great benefits.
I'm Jennifer King.
The White House says the negotiations continue to free Israeli hostages. I'm Jackie Quinn.
The body of a missing Oregon woman is found. Her husband now charged with murder. I'm Bob Brown. That story next.
There are more food recalls. I'm Shelley Adler.
Back after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Looking at the weather map this morning, we have a very large area of low pressure centered over eastern Canada. This has been drawing Arctic air from northern Canada and bringing it southward through the northern plain states, and then continuing into the central plains as well as the Great Lakes, and then as far east as New England and the middle Atlantic. It will even be quite chilly into portions of northern Alabama, into Georgia, and then continuing into the Carolinas. As is typical with a pattern like this, there is a weak area of low pressure diving southeastward within the larger system from the northern plains and continuing into the mid-Mississippi Valley. This will produce another fresh coating to an inch of snow to an area that received several inches this past weekend, and this cold air is, of course, passing over the warm Great Lakes, which is producing lake effect snow, and that is happening from Michigan into Indiana, into Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, and some of it is even extending into West Virginia as well as portions of Vermont and New Hampshire. Snowfall near the lakes today and tonight can still be very heavy with another 1 to as much as 2 feet, and these snow bands can produce snowfall amounts at rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour and cause whiteout conditions. And additional snow will continue into Tuesday and even Tuesday night. Temperatures this afternoon will only top out in the single digits in parts of North Dakota, into the lower 40s in parts of Kansas, with 20s, 30s, and 40s through the Great Lakes, New England, and the Middle Atlantic, as well as the Tennessee Valley. The rest of the Gulf Coast will be a little bit milder with more sunshine and highs in the 60s and 70s. The exception will be in South Texas, where clouds will thicken and showers will form throughout the day. Looking out west, it is going to be some fog in the California valleys to start the day and also in parts of Washington, but otherwise we're looking at dry weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. President Joe Biden grants an official pardon to his son Hunter, sparing the younger Biden from a possible prison sentence for federal felony gun and tax convictions, and reversing his past promises not to use the extraordinary powers of the presidency for the benefit of his family. The president has previously said he would not pardon his son or commute his sentence after convictions in the two cases in Delaware and California. The move comes 2 weeks before Hunter Biden was set to receive his punishment after his trial conviction in the gun case and a guilty plea on tax charges. President-elect Donald Trump has named who he thinks should be the next director of the FBI, but there is some question on when that job will become available. John Stolnis has that from Washington.
Over the weekend, Trump named Kash Patel to lead the Justice Department's lead investigative arm. Patel is a former national security prosecutor who adheres to Trump's view that there is a deep state inside America's intelligence and law enforcement agencies against Trump and his allies. Speaking last year to Real America's Voice, Patel said he would go after everyone suspected of participating in politically motivated prosecutions, including the media.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media.
In a post on X Sunday, the presumed incoming chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, said Patel will have to prove to Congress that he will reform and restore public trust in the FBI. There is some question as to when a Patel confirmation process would begin after Trump takes office. Current FBI Director Christopher Wray, who was chosen by Trump during his first term, has another 3 years left on his 10-year term. Speaking on ABC's This Week, Republican Senator Mike Rounds says he has no issues with Wray staying on.
The president has the right to make nominations, but normally these are for a 10-year term. We'll see what his process is and whether he actually makes that nomination. And then if he does, we still go through a process, and that process includes advice and consent.
However, Republican Senator Bill Hagerty tells NBC's Meet the Press Patel is needed to shake things up in the FBI.
I think Kash does have relevant experience, particularly when it comes to the mandate the American public have assigned of turning these agencies around that have become completely corrupted. Kash has pointed it out. He's probably the best at uncovering what's happened at the FBI, and I look forward to seeing him taking it apart.
Wray would either need to be fired by Trump when he takes office or resign for Patel's nomination process to begin. Current National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on NBC's Meet the Press indicated Wray should be allowed to finish out his term.
Joe Biden didn't fire him. He relied upon him to execute his responsibilities as the director of the FBI and allowed him to serve out the fullness of his term.
Trump also named billionaire Mossad Boulos to serve as senior advisor to the president on Arab and Middle East affairs. Boulos is the father-in-law of Trump's daughter Tiffany, and it comes a day after Trump named his daughter Ivanka's father-in-law, real estate developer Charles Kushner, the father of Jared Kushner, to be his ambassador to France. John Stolnis, Washington.
A California senator says his state has no obligation to help ICE with mass deportations under the incoming Trump administration. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
President-elect Trump and his pick for border czar Tom Homan have promised mass deportations and have not ruled out using military assets to get the job done. This week on CBS's Face the Nation, Senator Alex Padilla of California spoke about how some migrants and some Americans feel about the idea.
Again, if the first Trump administration is any indicator, we know that there will continue to be a lot of fear in communities, and communities that deserve to know what their rights are and what their rights are not. And so if it's legal assistance, legal advice, legal support, that's just the California way. We embrace our diversity.
Padilla told CBS that no state government, not Texas, not California, not any state in the nation, he said, has a constitutional authority to impose federal immigration law. He said that's the responsibility of the federal government.
Our diversity has made our communities thrive and our economy thrive. And so we will assist families against the threats of the Trump administration.
Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee spoke with Fox's Sunday Morning Futures about Trump's plan for tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
What you're going to see is basically the global diplomacy of rock, paper, scissors. It is strength weakness, appeasement, and strength wins. They know Donald Trump is a strong leader. They know if he says he's going to sanction you, if he's going to hold you to accountable, he is going to do that.
Meanwhile, Padilla says that California will use taxpayer dollars to pay for migrants' legal challenges to deportations. He said communities deserve to know what their rights are. I'm Clayton Neville.
Some DACA recipients who grew up in the United States say they're worried about being left without a shield from potential deportation. Correspondent Jennifer King has that story.
Over 500,000 immigrants are currently benefiting from the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, renewable permits to live and work in the U.S. legally.
Out of the sudden, all these possibilities open up, not having to worry.
Raina Montoya remembers her relief when she received her DACA letter.
When you're giving people an opportunity to get right with the law, we're going to step up and we're going to see the great benefits as a nation.
But the program hasn't accepted new applicants since 2021 as a legal challenge from Republican-led states works its way through appellate court. Recipients faced more uncertainty under an incoming Trump administration after he promised to deport millions of people.
Going into a second term, there's not that level of same protection. I feel that there were a lot of people within the first administration that they were willing to do the right thing, that they were willing to follow a protocol, that they were willing to abide by the Constitution of the United States that has rights even for undocumented people, and I don't feel that comfort anymore.
Montoya now runs Aliento, an Arizona-based immigrants' rights advocacy group.
I have to take his words very seriously that when they mean mass deportations, it also includes people like me.
The DACA case is likely to go before the Supreme Court. I'm Jennifer King.
Up next, Australia bans kids from social media. And Robert Workman is in with a recap of weekend sports. America in the Morning back after these messages. I'm John Trout. This is America in the Morning. From the Middle East, in Syria, rebels fighting against the Syrian regime have taken over the presidential palace in Aleppo and captured that city's main airport. And as work is still underway to try and broker a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, the UN says it is halting aid deliveries in the Gaza Strip after food trucks were looted and stolen by armed terrorists, with the agency blaming Israel for the unrest. In Lebanon, despite a ceasefire, Israel launches strikes against Hezbollah targets which were not abiding by the truce signed between the Lebanese and Israeli governments. With an update on the region, here's correspondent Jackie Quinn.
The White House says the negotiations continue to free Israeli hostages, including an American Israeli man just shown in a video. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says even though the progress is being kept under wraps, negotiations to free the remaining Israeli hostages are still taking place.
President Biden pledged, coming off of the announcement of the Lebanon ceasefire, that we would be working round the clock to produce a ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza. We are working to do that. I can't make you any predictions about the shape of that deal or when it will come, but I can tell you that we are working actively to try to make it happen. We are engaged deeply with the key players in the region.
He was on NBC's Meet the Press. Sullivan says he's spoken with hostages' relatives, including the family of 20-year-old Israeli-American Adon Alexander, who was just shown in a Hamas video.
That video was a cruel reminder of Hamas's brutality and of the fact that they are holding so many hostages from so many countries, including American citizens, including Americans like Adon. And we are doing everything we can to get those hostages home safely to their families.
I'm Jackie Quinn.
The body of a woman who went missing a week before Thanksgiving has been found. Her husband now faces murder charges. Bob Brown has details. Audio courtesy KGW-TV, Portland, Oregon.
They found a body here adjacent to our property.
An arrest is made involving the disappearance of an Oregon woman who was later found dead. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says the victim's husband, 71-year-old Michael Fournier, was arrested on Friday in connection with the death of his wife, 61-year-old Susan Lane Fournier. The victim reported missing on November 22nd when she didn't show up for work. Investigators say she and her 2 dogs had reportedly gone hiking in the Mount Hood National Forest. On Friday morning, authorities found her body not far from her home. Her husband was arrested later that day, charged with second-degree murder. He's currently being held without bail. The couple have been married for 12 years. However, about a month ago, Susan had filed for divorce. KGW-TV in Portland talking with neighbors Betty and John DeLong, who knew the couple.
You know, you don't like to see anything like this happen.
It was shocking to me because it was really close to us.
They say some people in the community had feared the worst.
They were expecting it. You know, a lot of people talked about DV, domestic violence.
Authorities say they're urging anyone who may have information on the case to please contact them. I'm Bob Brown.
5 people are missing after a fishing boat capsized in waters off southern Alaska. The 50-foot ship sent out a Mayday call more than 29 hours ago. 7 cold water immersion suits and 2 strobe lights were located in the water within the immediate search area, but there's been no sign yet of those who were on board. The Coast Guard said they're searching in what they described as very rough conditions, with winds up to 60 miles per hour and sea swells above 6 feet. Australia bans social media usage for almost all platforms for kids under the age of 16, a move being watched closely by governments around the world. Here's Chuck Palm with that in today's Tech News.
Australian Parliament had been warning big tech corporations for months that a ban may be coming after a parliamentary inquiry earlier this year that heard testimony from parents of children who had harmed themselves due to cyberbullying. The bill was submitted last Thursday and sent to a select committee on Friday, where the parties had 24 hours to make comments. Some feel that the bill had been rushed through as the legislation was passed with 31 other bills that were pushed through in a chaotic final day of Parliament for the year. Big tech companies like Meta and TikTok had comments saying they believed it was a predetermined process and that any causal link with social media appears to be unclear. Snap Corporation, parent of Snapchat, said that this leaves many questions unanswered. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Hedera, Dogecoin, and almost all cryptos are riding higher than last week. For more tech news, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
With a recap of weekend sports, here's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 13 Sunday, the Eagles outdueled the Ravens 24-19 for their 8th straight win to improve to 10-2. That's right behind the Lions and the Chiefs at the top of the league. Vikings nipped the Cardinals 23-22 on Sam Darnold's TD pass to Aaron Jones with 1:13 left and the point after. Minnesota is 10-2, and the Bills got there as well on Sunday night with a 35-10 thrashing over the 49ers in snowy Buffalo. 3 scores for Josh Allen. They clinched the AFC East. Division leaders, the Steelers outgunned the Bengals. Russell Wilson threw for 414 yards and 3 TDs. Texans topped the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence had to leave the game for Jacksonville with a concussion after a late hit that sparked a brawl. Seahawks rallied from down 14 to take out the Jets. Leonard Mitchell with a 92-yard pick six off Aaron Rodgers to start the comeback. Buccaneers outlasted the Panthers in overtime. Tampa Bay now tied with Atlanta in the NFC South after the Falcons lost to the Chargers. LA picked off 4 Kirk Cousins passes, 2 of those by Tarheeb Still, taking the latter 61 yards to the house for the go-ahead score. Colts clipped the Patriots. Anthony Richardson hit Alec Pierce for a touchdown with 12 seconds left, then ran in the winning 2-point conversion himself.
You know, I was just trying to make sure we just got the points on the board, honestly. When he told us we were going for 2, I'm like, okay, there's a chance to win it, so we had to fight and make it work.
Commanders trampled the Titans, 4 touchdowns for Jaden Daniels. Rams stopped the Saints. NBA, the Cavaliers came from behind to edge the Celtics 115-111, ending Boston's 7-game winning streak. Donovan Mitchell scored 20 of his game-high 35 points in the fourth quarter. Magic cut down the Nets for their 6th straight win. Grizzlies rallied from down 19 to upend the Pacers for their 6th in a row. That's Monday Sports.
Thank you, sir. The latest salmonella outbreak, what's affecting your dinner table, when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. The government ordered a massive recall of potentially dangerous cucumbers affecting 26 states and Canada. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
Cucumbers shipped in 13 states and organic eggs sold in 25 Costco stores in 5 southern states were recalled for potential salmonella contamination. Sunfed Produce, based in Arizona, said the questionable cucumbers were sold between October 12th and November 26th. While no details were made available on how many people got sick or where, the FDA told the company that there were associated illnesses reported between October 12th and November 15th. As for the eggs, that recall involves 11,000 cartons of 24-count organic eggs sold under Costco's Kirkland Signature brand that landed on shelves in Alabama, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee starting November 22nd. I'm Shelley Adler.
One of Thanksgiving's biggest box office weekends in recent memory, 2 blockbusters shared the love. Our Kevin Carr has a look.
Holiday tentpoles and Christmas movies dominated the Thanksgiving weekend box office.
Maui?
Can I get a chee-hoo? Moana 2 grossed a record $221 million in the 5-day holiday weekend and $135 million for Friday through Sunday. This obliterates Frozen 2's Turkey Day record of $125 million 5 years ago. To be. This theatrical sequel is only about $27 million short of the original movie's entire domestic take.
It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
In second place was Wicked with $117 million for the 5-day and $80 million for the 3-day frame. It is now the highest-grossing Broadway adaptation since Grease in 1978.
The arena turned slaves into gladiators, the gladiators into free men.
Not as strong as its girl-powered counterparts, Gladiator 2 took third with $44 million for the 5-day and $31 million for the traditional weekend.
Interesting.
My turn! And then were the Christmas movies.
There's worse ways to go out than trying to save Santa Claus.
Red 1 is still vibing on holiday mojo with $19 million for the 5-day and $13 million for the 3-day weekend.
It might be the first Christmas pageant in history where Joseph and the wise men get in a fight and Mary hightails it with the baby.
Finally, the best Christmas pageant ever rounded out the top 5 with $4.9 million for the 5-day and $3.3 million for the 3-day. I'm Kevin Carr.
That's our show for today, Monday, December 2nd, 2024. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.